want to get cracking and get your veggie garden up and growing, but you've run out of time to grow your own seedlings from seed. Well, not to worry, because store-bought seedlings are a great option. However, if you pay good money for seedlings, you want to make sure that they survive and thrive. So here are some things to consider. Knowing what to look for when you buy your seedlings will give you a head start. Avoid leggy plants that are on the discount table, because often they're old, and while they might come good, they might not. It's just not worth the risk. Instead, look for young, fresh seedlings that are full of health and vigour. If your seedlings have come from a controlled climate, something like a shop, a glasshouse or a shade house, they're going to be soft. So you might need to leave them outside somewhere to harden up before you plant them. That way they get used to the conditions in your garden. Now, these seedlings are actually quite tough, so there's no need to do that. But if I needed to harden my seedlings off, I'd do it here on the back table where I can keep an eye on them. If I put this tray down in the veggie patch before I'm ready to plant, my chook might get at them before I can protect them. Now, obviously, you need to use common sense with regards to the temperature when you plant out. Don't go planting out your veggie seedlings on a really hot day, and don't go planting out summer warm season crops if you're in a frosty area until the risk of frost is over. But today is the perfect time to plant. First, prepare your bed with some well-rotted compost. Give your seedling punnet a gentle water. Squeeze the bottom of the cell to make removal of the seedling easier. If there are multiple plants in each cell, you can separate them gently with your fingers. Try to minimise root disturbance and don't leave your separated seedlings lying around to dry out. Make a hole in the soil with more than enough space for the roots and then backfill. Now, if there are lots of little plants in the cell, like there are with these spring onions or also with leeks, an easy way to separate them without damaging their roots is simply to wash off the soil in a little bowl of water. So just give them a bit of a jiggle, and then they're like that, ready to plant. Spring onions and leeks can be planted like this on their side. Don't worry about trying to stand them up. As they grow, they'll right themselves. Some plants, like tomatoes, actually get planted deeper than the soil level they're in their seedling. And that's so that they develop more roots up their stems and makes them sturdier and healthier. Not only does basil taste great with tomatoes, it's also a wonderful companion. So I'm just going to add in some basil around my tomatoes. Water your new plants in gently so as not to disturb the soil. It's not a bad idea to use some seaweed-based plant tonic and some weak liquid fertiliser. Now, there's no point going to all this trouble to let these new seedlings get eaten by pests. When I'm planting brassicas, I actually net the whole crop with this insect exclusion mesh. But with some tender seedlings like basil, cucumbers, pumpkins or zucchinis, you find that insects like slaters will come along and eat them off at ground level almost overnight. So I just get some old plastic pots that I've cut the bottom off. You could use old milk cartons and push them gently into the soil around them. Now I'll leave these covers on for a couple of weeks until the cell walls of the plants get thicker and the plants grow a bit, and then they'll be fine to take them off. Then I'll mulch this whole bed and it'll look great. Now, obviously, you've got to keep your eye out for snails and slugs because they love to eat young, tender plants. But I have another problem here in my veggie patch. I have a rogue chicken, and I don't know how she gets in here, but she does. So I need to put these covers on as extra insurance. Seedlings are a bit like babies. When they're young, you need to give them a bit of TLC, but as they grow, you can sit back and relax. Of course, you need to keep an eye on mulch, watering and feeding, but these crops will all produce beautifully.